Welcome to Jamie TV, thank you very much for tuning in. I've had segments by Elliott Garage on my iPad and iPhone for quite some time now, and it is a great sample slicing app, but I never got around to doing a tutorial on it. But it's just had a couple of really exciting new updates, so I thought now's a really good time to stop pissy panting about and put that right. I'm going to start off by showing you the different methods for getting samples into segments, beginning with one of those new updates. You see, you can now actually record an instrument into segments. So I'm going to demonstrate that using this little cigar box guitar from Screaming Skull Guitars, and if you like the look of it, the sound of it, you can find Screaming Skull Guitars on Facebook. Okay, so here's how we set this up. Here's my cigar box guitar coming into AUM. This is Rhino just giving me some drive and some reverb and all that good stuff, and here we have segments loaded as an effect, whereas we would normally load it up here as an instrument. If I click on that, you'll see that we now have a record button here and a monitor button. So if I just strum the CBG, that's just my speaking microphone picking up the strings, but if I press in the monitor, now we can hear what I'm doing. So let's hit record and record some string twanging. Now that we have that audio recorded, I can switch off monitor and go here, and if I press the plus, I can name that recording. Let's call it Hippie Billy and press OK, and then we can come out of this. We can lose these effect slots here and go up here, and let's add segments as an instrument now. You can either choose the regular version of segments or the multi-output version. Later in this video I'll be explaining that, so you'll know which one you need to choose. For now we'll choose the regular version, and if I go in here now, you'll see that Hippie Billy was the last thing that we recorded, so there it is. Now while it's on screen, let's just have a very quick play for laugh. Okay, now let's go and have a look at one of those other methods of importing audio into segments. Now I'm going to send an audio file from my iPhone directly into segments on my iPad using Airdrop. If I just bring my phone onto the screen here, I hope this is going to come into focus. Press on Files, and in my recent documents here, I have an audio file from one of my patrons, because on my Patreon account I get involved in making music with people. I help them, give advice, help with mixes and stuff like that. I show them how to use applications, and also I actually play on stuff for people sometimes. He sent me this audio file here so that I could add some bass to this track for him. So if I just press and hold on this file, and then I go to share down at the bottom here, and you'll see that Jamie's iPad number 2 there for Airdrop. Press on that, and now on the iPad screen I just press on segments, and it opens up segments in standalone mode, and you'll see here that my patron's audio file is there. I just remembered I can't do finger drumming. Comedy. But if I could, you could see the potential of that. We could also come down to the bottom of the screen, open our file folder like this, grab the audio that we want and just drop it into segments Let's just get rid of that now. And I'm just going to press initialize to clear that off. Or we can go to this folder icon here and select it and drop it in that way. Or, once again, I'll just clear this off. Or, another thing that we could do is if we just go into the folder system and then we press and hold on the audio that we want, click share, and then we can navigate across here. My mouse has not been agreeable. I'll just go the old-fashioned way and use my finger, and then we just find segments in the list. There we go, and it will open it in segments. Here I've imported a chunk of audio from one of my old tracks, and because I haven't sliced up that audio yet, you'll see we just have the one pad down here. That pad will make the audio play from beginning to end. I could stop it here, or in fact I could play it from here. To see our slicing options, we go here to slice, and let's say if I want to put in my slices manually, like live if you like, I could just press play here, and each time I want to make a slice, I tap on a pad, and so on, and you'll see that as I do that, what segments is doing is it's assigning that pad to that slice and it color codes them. So if I just press number 2 here, it will play just that slice. Let's clear that off. I'm going to go to divide, which will give me 16 slices of equal length. But if I grab on here and drag this up, I can now go all the way up to 32 parts since the recent update, with 32 corresponding pads to activate those slices. I could of course drag it backwards and have less slices, and when you're using these kind of controls, a double click will reset it to default. Let's clear that off and go to detect. Now this is what I'm going to use for this particular track. What this will do is it will detect the most extreme transients in the audio and make a slice there. But if I bring the threshold up here, it will make segments less sensitive to the transients, and so you'll get less slices, and of course dragging it back will give us the reverse. Let's just reset that to default now. We can just close this menu out here. Now there are some very short little slices here that might be appropriate for this next example. I think I like this one. Now whatever slice I played last, if I go over to keyboard mode, this will pitch that slice across the keyboard, and so effectively I can play this slice as an instrument, either with this on-screen keyboard or with an external controller. There's no doubt that the segments is very easy on the eye, but the colour scheme is about more than just making the app look pretty. It's actually a very useful and helpful tool. For an example, if I press on pad number 9 here, the pad is green, the slice is green. If I go to effects, the effects are green. And this is just kind of reassuring. It helps keep an old hippie in check. It makes you confident that you are applying the correct parameter to the correct slice. Let's just throw on a little delay and reverb here. I'll go and press that pad. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Go back to effects. If I double click on an effect over the mix, it actually mutes that effect out. And if I press and hold, you'll see that a couple of words appear on the XY pad telling you what parameter you are adjusting with the XY pad. So we're adjusting the time across the top here and feedback here. Let's see if we can find the right key. My external controller. Okay, so feedback's here. And time here. I love doing that with delays. Because this control up here is set to mono, if I choose to play, say, pad number 4 and then play pad number 3 whilst 4 is still playing, then 4 will stop playing as soon as I press 3 and 3 will take over. But if I change this to polyphonic, we can have more than one slice playing at the same time, which is particularly useful when you go into the keyboard mode, because it would mean that you could play chords and things like that. Now also, we here, because this is set to shot, then when I press on a pad, let's choose number 6, that slice will play from beginning to end. But if I change that to gate, it will play for as long as I hold my finger down on the pad. Whereas if I change it to link, then it will play into the next pad, into the next segment, and continue for as long as I hold down my finger. And then we have through. I'm going to play one near the end here, because what this will do is when I press on a pad, I only have to tap it and it will play from that slice right through to the end of the audio. Then we have loop, where if I choose, say, number 7, for as long as I hold down my finger, it will just loop round and round that particular slice. And then finally we have Pong, and that will play from the beginning to the end of the slice and then play in reverse, and so on and so on, for as long as I hold down my finger. Let's choose number 5 for that one. I'm just going to set this to link for this next example, and I'm going to use my external controller to begin from the first slice. You'll see here segments has correctly detected the key and the tempo of my track. If I click on tempo, I can speed up the audio, or I can drag it back to slow it down, and the pitch changes with it, much like speeding up or slowing down an old tape machine. Let's just double click on that to center it, and we'll click on the key, and I can also adjust the pitch in the same fashion. But you'll hear as I adjust the pitch, it also adjusts the speed of the track. Whereas if I press on warp, now when I change the pitch, the pitch will change, but not the tempo of the track. And also similarly with tempo, the speed is changing, but not the pitch. Now any changes that we make across here will apply to one specific segment, but let's say we're using this in some kind of a live setting and we want to be able to make that change without triggering that particular slice. For instance, if I wanted to make a change to slice number 4, I could press on it, and then number 4 comes up in this box, and any changes I make here will affect slice number 4. But if I didn't want to trigger that sound, I could, let's just press a different one. Okay, now I want to select number 4 to make changes to it, so I press and hold here, select number 4, and there we go. Now I can make these changes without activating that sound. First up we have reverse, so if I just press in reverse on slice number 4, it plays backwards, but because I have this set to link, it's playing number 4 backwards, and then it's still moving on to slice number 5. But it has applied that effect just to slice number 4. Now what I can do is I can change the behavior of each slice, much like in this section here I have these controls here. So I can set one slice to, say, a loop for instance, and it won't affect any of the others. And we've also got Pong, shot, gate, link, and through. Now here, if I press on pitch, I can adjust the pitch of that particular slice just here. Let me just find that key on my controller keyboard. It'll make things easier for me. Okay, and I can center it, of course, with a double click, and then I can also adjust the volume and the pan. And we've got gain as well. This is really nice. I like that one. Now we also have choke groups. I've been dreading explaining this. This is kind of difficult to explain. Okay, so we can assign a choke group to each segment. So let's say if I was to choose segment number 8 and make that choke group red, and then segment number 6, make that red, and then we'll assign a couple of others to green. So what we got, 8 and 6 there, and then we'll have 2 and 4 on green. Okay, now when I press on number 8, if I then press 6, it should immediately stop playing 8 and start playing number 6. Oh, wait a minute, I need these to be in shot. But if I was to play 8 and then hit number 4, that's on a different choke group. So you're still hearing both. And of course, now if I press 4 and then hit 2, 2 will choke 4 because they're on the same choke group. And how many choke groups do we have? I don't actually know. We've got green, a murky colour, blue, that's off, and red. So we've got 4 different choke groups. Okay, now moving along, we can change where the sample starts. So in other words, we can actually adjust the, we can actually make an audio edit. So let me just choose one that looks suitable for editing. Okay, we'll use number 8. We'll take its choke group off. We don't need that now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make the slice start from just here. So if I go to start, then we move this along. And you see it's completely cut off that note. And we can also change the length. Let's see if we can get just 2 notes out of it. Well, it was 3, but it looked like 2 at a glance to a stupid old hippie. Okay, now some people have struggled a little bit with this, where they've made a change to this, and then when they've tried to change it back, it's gone a bit wrong. If you go back to start position and do this, what you have to do is go back to length and make it the full length again. Some people have ended up with a tiny little bit of shaded area just moving about and struggled. If you just make pull everything back to factory preset position, and all will be good, I promise you. We can adjust the attack, so I think we'll stick with slice number 8. Right, we can have a fade in, and of course we can also have a fade out by adjusting the release time. Now here, if I wanted to use one of these parameters to make a change to all of the slices, I just press all, and then when I do this, you'll see it's adjusting the release time on every slice. And let's say I'm working on one particular slice, let's say slice number 4, then whilst I'm working on it, if I trigger another slice, you'll see this number keeps changing here, and every time I click on a slice, then these parameters apply to the last slice that I pressed on. But I want to continue working on number 4, so what I can do is press 4, press lock, and then when I press any of these other pads, we're still on 4, so I can be triggering other slices and continue to work on number 4. And one last thing that I missed, we can actually also trigger a slice by simply pressing on it. Now let me show you how I use segments, making that track that I used to open this video with. First of all, I was pissy panting around on my computer learning some new software, kind of throwing a track together, and so I chopped out a few bars of it, exported that into Dropbox, chucked it onto my iPad, opened it in segments, and before I started chopping it up it sounded like this. Then I sliced it up into 32 slices and I had a pissy pants around with the sounds. Found 8 that I really liked, and then I made some edits to those 8 sounds, and then I opened up Helium and connected Helium. Why is my mouse not working? Because it's crap, that's why. And connected segments to Helium here, Helium port 1 and MIDI filter channel 1, and then I went into Helium and I arranged some drums. So I got this, and so on and so on. So I'm kind of using those sounds that are not really drum sounds, but I'm kind of using them as a kit. And then the really special part, what I did was I closed out segments and then I reopened it again, but this time I chose the multi-output bus version, which is there, segments multi-output. Now in my project here I've got 8 sounds that I want to use. Now segments has a potential 16 multi-output buses. I'm only going to need 8 of them, and what I did was I went to each of my sounds and then I directed them to a bus. So let's just select one that I'm not using, just so I'm not going to mess up my project. So I'll go to sound number 32, and then down here, look, you can tell it which output bus you want it to play through. So this is set to 1 right now, so let's just move it to 11. We'll select one that I'm not using, just, you know, for demonstration purposes. And so now if I trigger that sound, which I'm not going to, but if I did, then that sound would come out of bus 11. So now all I need to do, actually let me just close this version of segments, I don't need that now. All I need to do now is to add some more buses. So we go here, select multi-output buses, segments multi-output, and then repeat that process another 6 times, and then we've got 8 different output buses. And so then I arrive at something that looks like this, with 8 separate channels for my drums coming out of segments. If I just press play, now all I need to do is each one of these sounds in turn, I'm going to add effects, EQ, pan them, and then I'll come out with something that sounds like this. Then all I did was throw on some bass and piano. I wouldn't call it a finished track at this point, but something to serve as an introduction piece for this video. Thank you for watching my video. I hope it didn't suck too massively and that it was at least of a little bit of interest or use to you. If I missed anything, because there's a lot to cover in segments, then ask your questions down below in comments and I will reply. I always reply and I will do my very best to help. If there is a slicer type of app that you prefer to use over segments, then tell me what it is down in comments, and if it's something I haven't checked out, then maybe I'll take a look at it. If you'd like to help out the channel in any way, down below the video you will find linkage, links to my merchandise, Patreon, Bandcamp, my website, all that stuff, blah 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 blah. So until the next video, take care of yourselves and be good people, make lots of music, try not to be an arsehole, and do not piss your pants about. See you later.